Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 5 underrated and 5 overrated brawlers. So different format to usual. Normally, I play a little bit of rank, but let me know whether you like the change of format or whatever else. But let's just dive straight into this video then. So start off, I think one of the most underrated brawlers in the game right now has to be Shade. So I'm saying this because in my rank games, Shade can be a little bit more of a complicated brawler to make work because a lot of pro players abuse the double gadget bug. If you guys didn't know, watch Sans's shorts or TikToks, he explains the tech. Essentially, you time it right, you can get 2 long arm slaps in a row. That can make him very strong in pro play, but I think Shade is a big problem in a lot of the rank maps right now. A lot of pros, often they'll ban out like a couple of good Shade counters, and then they'll just pick Shade like first pick on a really, I don't know, like a map like Triple. Well, Triple's not in a pro one, but like Super Beach, for example. But yeah, like people just aren't really going Shade that much in my rank games, and every time I face off against him, a good Shade is so frustrating to face off against because literally a good Shade will just be able to keep cycling supers consistently. The hype charge is very, very broken. I know Shade is one of the most problematic brawlers. I mean, like to face off against when you don't have a direct counter. I mean, he's a strong A-tier brawler. Again, I'm hardly seeing anyone play this Shade. They'd rather opt for like a Mortis or something like that. So yeah, there are other good assassins, but Shade absolutely is one of the best ones. The next brawler who I think is very underrated right now is Mina. So people have been speaking about whether Mina has even dropped to the B tier. I think this meta actually really heavily favors Mina. That's because a lot of her counters, normally the counters are the more aggressive brawlers. You've seen a little bit less of them, you know, like the Bulls, for example, and you're starting to see more of the multiple projectile brawlers. So brawlers like Otis, Griff, Spike, well, not Spike, Spike's dropping down a bit, but these types of brawlers, these anti-tanks, aren't actually that good into Mina because Mina can just time her attacks right and pressure. You've got the gadget that can tank a lot of shots, and a lot of pros will just create so much space with Mina. They'll be able to get so many good combinations. A good Mina is extremely dangerous, especially on low ping. That is the key as well. If you have very low ping, you're just going to destroy Mina. So we're all seeing maybe a little bit more Mina than expected because Mina is one of the maxed out brawlers, but it's actually with good reason. I think she's improved in the meta drastically because of all the previous nerfs. So yeah, I think Mina is in a really good spot. Next brawler who I believe is underrated has to be Poco. So Poco, I think is definitely underrated. A little bit harder to make him work in ranked because you need a bit more strategy and you need your teammates to like trust you, and like you definitely need to tell your teammates to pair Poco with something, well, something that's good with Poco, right? But Poco's actually really good at just countering the opposition. You think of Poco as a great counter to brawlers like Otis. Again, people kind of sleep on this. He's really good at countering Otis because you've got the gadget that just cleanses all of the CC. You've also got Poco into Nadia. Again, like I didn't actually face off against a Poco as Nadia, and I faced off against it first time, I think, yesterday, and it was so miserable. You deal literally no damage to anyone because of that gadget, so it's kind of like a great counter to Byron as well. There's a few of it like Lou, Amber, these ones that you would have known in the past, Crow, for example. But yeah, no one's using Poco, but I think it's a great counter. The next brawler who I think is underrated has to be Meeple. So funny enough, a lot of the hackers are going Meeple, but outside of that, Meeple is actually very good, and people aren't talking about Meeple a lot. I think Meeple's more underrated maybe in the pros' hands more than anything. I'm not seeing them pick Meeple a bunch, but I think a lot of good maps in a rank rotation. You pair Meeple with an anti-tank, which you pretty much always have in your composition. You know, everybody's picking Otis, everybody's picking Chester, everyone's picking Colette, so you're safe in that sense. He's really good at Brawl right now. He's good in gem grab. So yeah, I think Meeple is very, very strong in this meta, but it's not really reflecting in pro data. And the last brawler who I think is underrated has to be Fang. So I underrated him myself, and I think I'm not seeing a lot of Fang in like the rank meta, but I'm seeing a lot of pros use it. So a big reason as to why the pros are using a lot more Fang is because of the global bans. It's helping him out a bit, but I just think in general he has just got better. That health buff was substantial, and that's really helped him out. So for example, the biggest use case for him right now is in Bounty to counter out Mortis, Kaze, all these other blue star brawlers. Fang is a great counter to them because he can latch onto them, he can stun them, and he can just combo them so quickly and survive because of that health buff. Again, a knockout can be fairly decent. We've seen a gem grab as well recently in pro play. Some pros are picking up the Fang, so yeah, it's got to be paired as well with like a Ruffs, can be a really dangerous composition as well. So Fang definitely creeping up the meta. So now we're going to be moving over to your overrated brawlers. So these are typically ones that are just overrated in my sense. Actually quite difficult to come up with this list in my opinion. I always find underrated a lot easier. But starting off with Colt. I think Colt is definitely overrated. I think again a lot of the hackers do pick Colt, but just outside of that, he's only really good in Heist. there were a few instances where I was like, okay, well, Colt might actually be decent because of the gadget is very, very strong speed loader. But I think the second that you play Colt for the reason of wall break, it's incredibly hard to make him work. Again, it might be really easy to play Colt below Masters because, you know, people don't have good juking patterns, but anything above Masters, Colt just feels impossible to play. He's really, really hard to make work in this meta. Again, outside of, you know, he's really strong in high still, but I'm seeing too many people to pick Colt. Way too many people pick Colt. Yes, he can work in combination with a Pierce or a Naja, but I would rather a Griff, a Ruffs, a Brock than a Colt to open up the map. So yeah, Colt just is terrible without his speed loader gadget. Next brawler who I think is overrated has to be Griff. So this is just kind of just already just crept up with Griff. A lot of people did anticipate Griff actually not being that good. And I should have stuck to my guns. I don't know why I put him in the S tier. I followed the data, and the data said for the pro scrims, he was like the top 5 picked brawler. But literally a week later, yeah, he's just going down and down and down. He still is pretty good. He's got to be paired with something. I've always said this anyway when he first got his buffies. He's got to be paired with a sniper. He's got to be like, it's got to be still be like the old Griff, used to counter other options like Lou or just Bo, for example. But also with Griff, I think he's only really good in maybe Bubble and Hot Zone. I think Hot Zone in particular he's great in. Outside of that, he's just not that great. So yeah, it still has a use case in the meta, but he shouldn't be being picked everywhere like I'm seeing in my ranked games. Next brawler who I believe is a little bit overrated, and this is just in one game mode in particular. It is gem grab, but it's Pierce and Naja. So again, like you can go these brawlers as gem carrier, but I would only opt to use them at the end of draft. I'm seeing far too many games, and I've said it in the previous metas. These brawlers are S tier, but just because they're snipers, they still don't make for the best gem carriers. Because you think of the best assassins in the game right now, Mortis, you know, Lily, Ali, Shade, all of these assassins can just easily kill both of these brawlers. Yeah, there's a little bit of turnaround potential with them, but even if you pair them with like an anti-tank, they're still not safe most of the time. You need your gem carrier to be the safest brawler. You want to keep the gems, right? You don't want them to be squishy or vulnerable to assassins. You're going to face off against assassins all of the time in gem grab. So this is more of a cry out to my randoms. It's starting to get a little bit better, but a lot of them still aren't realizing you can't just pick these OP brawlers in gem grab. They're not safe from the assassin meta. This brawler who I think is very overrated has to be Juju. So I'm seeing in some tier lists that Juju is a B tier brawler, or maybe even A tier brawler in someone's tier list. It's just crazy to even think. I know that Juju isn't the best. Even I anticipated with my meta predictions, I said that should be like a low C tier brawler. Right now, I think she's probably a D tier brawler. She's completely fallen down the meta again. Her hypercharge isn't even that great. I even think when Juju was supposedly meta, that she was insanely overrated. But right now, it's absolutely not a Juju meta. She's just terrible. It takes so long to get a hypercharge. A normal super just isn't that great anymore. She's just so vulnerable as a thrower. Throwers aren't the greatest in the meta, right? Because of Mortis, Edgar's, etc. But still, she's not that great. I tried her in Layer Cake, and she was absolutely abhorrent. She was terrible. And the pro data backs it up. She is I think she's in the bottom 5 even in terms of pick rate in scrims, which is just insane to me. So yeah, Juju, absolutely overrated. I mean, no one's saying that she's crazy strong, but people aren't actually saying she's terrible like she is. Now moving on to the final brawler on my list, it is Rico. And it pains for me to say this, but Rico is a good example of people still picking him a lot often in even like Brawl gem grab. And I'm still seeing like Reddit posts about Rico saying that he needs like a nerf still, or he's still very overpowered. He's just not. Rico has always been a noob stomper, absolutely. I know this as a Rico main, and there are some good maps. Like when I'm thinking of trying to hard carry my teammates, anything below Masters, I'm going Rico and just hard carrying because he's got the pop-off potential. But anything above that, he's so easy to counter. Again, any assassin is going to easily destroy Rico. Any even like anti-tank is just having a better matchup than a Rico. Rico's just far too squishy for this meta. He's not good, guys. He really, when the buffies come out, he probably is going to be broken. That's just like Rico in a nutshell. But yeah, I don't think he is the greatest right now. Definitely overrated, and you literally can't really go him unless it's like late on in draft, or unless you're really, really good Rico on Hard Rock Mine. But outside of Hard Rock Mine, where else can I play him? Maybe Sneaker Fields, but then you see a lot of Griffin and Meta Ruffs example. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Let me know whether you agree, disagree, any other ones I missed out in the comment section below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.